comments from the council.
I would just like to answer the public, and this is something that I actually said about 2-3 months ago. And there's a lot of comments out in the audience. And first of all, to separate the issue, we have beat a dead horse. We have told our developer to remove the soil. And where we very strongly believe that this soil is contaminated and we want it removed, our developer, our tenant, feels just as strongly that they do not have to move the soil. They have their letters, they have a county that says they can use it. So right now we're at a stalemate, and we can stop right now and we can go to litigation and we can hold this project off for another year while we fight it off from court. And I'd love for the court to make the decision for me, but we're looking at spending a lot of money of the city's money, and we're looking at spending the developer's money. Nothing's going to get done, and we're going to sit in court for a year. So to think that we're going to do this in 2 different motions is not going to happen, because we've already done that. We've already said get it off, and our tenant is saying sue us. We feel we have the right. So we're stuck. So now we've got to compromise. On the issue of selling 50 acres of Biscayne Landing, are we giving up hundreds of thousands of dollars of income on it? We might be. But we do have a lease. We have a written agreement that gives our tenant the right to purchase 50 acres for residential. They have it. They don't have the right to exercise their option today because they had certain obligations to fulfill. But they do have the right. The way we calculate the purchase price is in our lease. We go through appraisals. We don't make up the price today. We've already set out these formulas 2 years ago. So these are the rights. Do we let them exercise their rights sooner than later in exchange for removing the soil? And this is, in my mind, the way that we can move forward and give them a jump start. That being said, and I said this a couple months ago, there are some very important items that have to be, in my mind, that have to be negotiated. And as I said before, the master association between the entire parcel, the Oaks, Alita Partners, that master association has to be agreed to and signed off on. And I know we're close. There's a stormwater management plan that has to be approved by the state of Florida. They will not agree to that till the master association is signed off on. And I believe we're close. If there's anything else, I'm leaving to my staff, my engineers, because there are several things: spine roads, grading, daily cleanup. These are for staff to find out. Some of these are day-to-day that will not happen for a long time. And that is up to my staff to tell me if there's anything further that has to be going on. And the one last thing I would like to point out is the property we're getting ready to sell is going to be developed into condominiums. Anybody in real estate knows that condominiums subject to a 99-year lease are not desirable. It's harder to get finance on it, and it's harder to find purchasers because people don't want to buy condos with 99-year leases. If we sell the land, and that is, I believe, why they put it in the lease to begin with, they wanted the option to have a fee-simple ownership. This will make their condos more valuable, which will raise our tax dollars, and we will have a better quality product on Biscayne Landing. And I believe it's a win-win situation. I thank you for this resolution, which Alita is going to pay for our appraisals, and I was extremely happy they have offered to pay our legal fees to help us with the negotiation of this final agreement. Because when we do sell the property, and if for any reason Alita Partners decides next year, 2 years down the road, they want to flip this to somebody else, I want to make sure that we have the proper covenants on that land to make sure whoever else buys it is still just as responsible and obligated to keep the obligations of our property. And sorry to be so long-winded, but I think it's a win-win for the city, so I'm in favor of it.
Councilman Scott Galvin.
No further comment.
Councilwoman Still.
I'm happy to see that the city council got together to move this project forward. So, congratulations, guys.
That's it?
We still need a second. We have a motion made by Councilwoman
It's
Keys.
discussion. We haven't moved it yet.
But we
I
still
haven't
have a
speak.
motion now.
I'm gonna. Huh?
We have a motion and with the amendments. We just don't have a second.
I second it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not gonna vote yet. I gotta speak on it.
Okay.
And I remember on November 12, 2013, the city council voted to require Olita to remove the field from the site. And we vote on November the 12th, 2013. From different discussions that we have, Olita said they have permission from them not to remove it. And we said, you need to remove it. This is the first document where Olita agreed to remove it. What we are voting on tonight, it's a removal plan. We're voting on a plan where Olita agree, okay, I want to move it, remove it, and we request that the city manager and the city attorney sit down with Olita to come up with a removal plan. At the same time, they request the right to buy the 50.9 acres. I think for me, and I'm going to vote for it because one of my main concerns was the removal of the field. Since we're going to have a plan to remove it, because they're going to bring it back to the council for a vote. When they're going to come back, they're going to say, this is the plan. We're going to start here. We're going to finish there. And this is how much we're going to pay for it. That's when we're going to have another discussion about the removal plan. Then I go for it. We have a motion seconded. Can we vote? Can we have a roll call?
Absolutely. Mayor Bien-Aimé,
Yes.
Councilman Galvin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Steril,
Yes.
Councilwoman Keys.
Yes.
Item J passes 4-0. Just for the record, motion made by Councilwoman Keys, seconded by Steril, and it passes with the amendment
Yeah. That's
stated by Councilwoman Keys. Approved.
what's the amendment?
Approved
start-
with amendments as stated on the record.
Okay.
That's cool?
Okay.
All right, tab K.
Tab K.
Proposed ordinance, second reading, of the Vice Mayor as acting mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, amending Chapter 12 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances entitled Nuisances to enhance current provisions for the abatement of public nuisances, inserting Article 3 entitled Abandoned Real Property Registration from Chapter 5, creating Article 9 entitled Squatters by declaring squatting as a public nuisance within the City of North Miami and establishing remedies for addressing squatters, and further providing for the relocation of Article 5 entitled Burglar Alarms to Chapter 13 of the Code of Ordinances, providing for repeal, conflicts, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you. Public hearing is open on tab K. Public hearing is open on tab K. Public hearing on tab K. Public hearing is now closed. Can I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call and
Councilman Galvin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Steril,
Yes.
Councilwoman Keys,
Yes.
Mayor Bien-Aimé.
yes.
Tab K passes 4-0. Tab L, proposed ordinance, second reading, of the Vice Mayor as acting mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, amending Chapter 15 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances entitled Pensions and Retirement under Article 3 entitled Claire Singleman Employees Retirement System, Ordinance Number 691, specifically at Division 4, Section 15-80, entitled Eligibility Generally, to allow the city manager to join or to remain in the Claire T. Singleman Employees Retirement System at the option of the city manager, providing for repeal, conflict, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Public hearing is now open on tab L. Public hearing is open on tab L. Public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to approve tab L?
So moved.
Second. Roll call. You have question?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a question for the city attorney.
Okay, go ahead.
Is this resolution the change made for any city manager that will be hired in the future will be part of the pension plan? Or this is just specifically for this city manager?
Well, not for any. It's only for any particular person who was a city employee for 10 years, who had already been in the plan for 10 years, to remain in the pension plan.
Okay. Just for the record, because I know people are calling me.
And that, just for clarification, that those amendments were done by the pension board on the Claire T. Singerman board. Those are recommendations from the pension board.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Mayor Bieneme,
Yes.
Councilwoman Keys,
Yes.
Councilman Galvin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Steril.
Yes.
Item passes 4-0. Tab M. Establish proposed budget hearing dates of Wednesday, September 10th, 2014, and Monday, September 22nd, 2014, and tentative millage rate for fiscal year 2014 through 2015.
Do you
Sorry.
do you have a presentation? Oh, okay.
Was that a motion?
I'll move the dates of September 10th and September 22nd.
Okay.
Second.
Anyone
No,
who
it's just
It's just a
we need to hear. Huh? Okay.
Yeah,
You wanna
I'll
vote on it?
Set
second.
up a date. I second it. And
Okay.
anyone wish to record a no?
Item passes 4-0. Tab N, update regarding a forensic financial audit for the entire city, including all departments.
And who's gonna speak first? You wanna hear from staff or Councilwoman Keys? You wanna start?
I'm sorry, I apologize. You have to also establish the millage.
Millage rate?
My
Yeah.
motion was inclusive of the
Okay,
millage rate.
I didn't
Yeah.
get it, okay.
Yeah, he did say.
So what was the motion with regard to the millage to,
That which is proposed by staff, what was it, 7.8?
7.9336.
to keep it the
And
same?
we can come down from that later if we want to, but we can't
Right.
go above
You
that.
cannot
Yeah.
increase, you can only come down.
In other words, your taxes can only go down
Down.
from here.
Right.
But was it properly advertised? Because when someone looking at it on the website, is it part of the millage rate? Is part of this resolution? Because when I read it, I knew because I met with the city manager, but I'm
Right.
saying that if it's properly advertised, the way that it is now.
Yes,
You understand what I'm?
Yes, yes it is. Because it's not a resolution, it's just setting it. So it's going to come back to you
Okay.
in September.
It's part of the budget process.
Okay. Tab N, it's update. Who's gonna give the update?
Do you-
Councilwoman Keys, you wanna start or you want staff to give you the
I'd like to hear
update
from
first?
staff,
You
I'd
wanna
hear-
hear from them first?
please.
Yes.
Arthur Sori, Budget Manager. We, as directed by council, we have contacted the Audit General's Office, and as presented in your package, and the main focus is the Audit General's Office does not do forensic audits, which has been told to us by the Auditor General's Office. They do perform operational audits, however, it's for criteria that must be met for them to be performed. One is by a legislator. One of our legislators would have to request it. Our council can vote on it in a majority, and then it will go to the Joint Audit Committee for them to determine if we should move forward with an operational audit. We can have a petition signed by 20% of the residents, and that will go to the Joint Audit Committee as well for them to decide. And local law enforcement agency or the state attorney's office can request an audit be done. Aside from that, staff did contact outside audit firms to see what it would cost the city to perform such a forensic audit. And we determined that the staff would be between about $90,000 and $120,000 for cost for 3 years for 4 departments, which roughly breaks down to about $27,000 per department to go back 3 years. That's the information we did get during the time allotted. But it's very important to note those prices, even with the Auditor General's office, is for sampling. That's not 100% sampling where they won't go transaction by transaction, but they will pull samples. We would give them direction on which samples we would like them to pull, what areas, what departments, what we're exactly looking for, but it's only samples. They'll pull a certain number of samples, and then we'll go forward from there. The Auditor General's office would not give us a price quote. They said they need specific direction, and once everything is met, or one of those criteria is met for them to come in, they would come and meet with us and then give us a price quote.
Thank you. And Madam City Attorney, from what I understand, you have a memo about the forensic audit, right?
Yeah,
This
well, Mr. Sori just
Oh, that's
summarized
the
it.
memo.
Yeah, so
Okay.
essentially, the type of audits that are performed by the state through the Auditor General.
Okay. You have anything to say?
No, actually everything is reflected in the memo concerning the Florida statutes on forensic audit is already presented.
Councilwoman Keys,
Okay.
before we open public hearing, right?
No, I think we
On the
should
item.
probably open the public hearing, if there's
And after
anybody.
that, you will speak?
Sure.
Okay. Public hearing is now open on tab N. Public hearing is open on tab N.
Yes, we heard everything last week.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Smith Joseph, 2100 Sanssouci Boulevard. I've been hearing back and forth, especially in the last meeting we had. There's been a lot of going back and forth, and as far as how this audit should be going and how far it should go. My recommendation, well, I forgot to congratulate the council for the good job that we have been doing. And this council has proven that we can have meetings with civility and respect for all. And you should really applaud yourself, and you should be recommended for the way that you've been conducting the last few meetings.
Thank you, sir.
And this audit issue should not be a fight. It's a very important thing for all of us, especially for Mr. Alam Ghani, the new city manager. He's coming in. He wants to start with a clean slate. And from what I heard in the last meeting, the public wants it. And in every business, if you feel your business is not really going the way it should be going, it behooves you as an entrepreneur to make sure that your books are the way they're supposed to be, and that's the only way you can be productive. And but I think I heard Mr. Sori mention that he only got the recommendations for 3 years, and that would really cut us short. If we are to have an audit, if we really want to know what has been going on in the city, we should at least go for at least 10 years. We should go for at least 10 years.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Public hearing still open on tab N.
Eileen Previtel, 12000 North Bay Shore Drive.
Ma'am, can you use the mic? Put it down. People can hear. Go ahead.
I would ask all the city employees to start becoming whistleblowers. There's lots of things that go on and that nobody wants to tell us about it. And I say, shame on you for taking advantage of your position. Please step forward and let's get rid of the people we don't need. They shame us, they shame their families. I don't know how they have a conscience. Thank you.
Enoch Marian, 12620 Northeast 4th Avenue. Yes, I support the audit. I think this is a very good thing for North Miami to clean up. So we need to know what's going on. So therefore, we need the audit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
We use.
My name is Maria Lee. I live at 12525 Northeast First Court, going 40 years. And we need some changes. And I think Mr. Agandi is doing a good job. We have to start from the bottom to clean up before we reach where we're going. And I don't find any problem with Mr. Agandi, Mr. Alim. So give the man a chance to do his work. And this is my few words. Amen.
Thank you. Public hearing still open
Amen.
on tab N.
Carol Prager, 2509 Northeast 135th Street. In our city charter, under the Citizens' Bills of Rights, item number 12 specifically speaks to an adequate audit, a yearly adequate audit. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I believe this.
We have been doing that every year.
We have.
Yeah.
Okay, so apparently it's not been adequate, that
No,
there's been
because-
discrepancies. So under my rights as a citizen here, I'm asking you to approve the audit going back as many years as is necessary and as thorough as it needs to be at any cost, because we can't afford not to do the audit. Not only are we going to be making certain that there are no monies missing, that there was no corruption or fraud taken place, so that the citizens can have complete trust in the government and in the people who represent us and in the employees who work for the citizens of North Miami. You simply have to do this. There's no question.
Thank you.
I second the motion.
Public hearing still open.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Beverly Hilton, 12495 Northwest 6th Avenue. I am here on behalf of Alhambra Heights Homeowners Association in support of the audit. I have collected many signatures in 4 hours. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go through the entire city, but I collected District 3 and District 4 in just 4 hours. These residents request an independent audit. So I have here, I also have some residents from District 4 who are here with me in supporting of the audit. I have one other thing.
We don't have public forum yet.
Oh,
You
yes,
said
oh, yeah,
another
yeah,
thing.
just the audit, right,
Okay.
okay, so I say that.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, I have signatures here if you'd like to see in supporting of the audit. And I have
Okay.
some residents in the audience in supporting of the audit. So I
Thank
think
you.
we should go forward, and 3 years is not enough. I think we should go back 10 years.
Okay.
If it, the cost is gonna cost us more if we don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing still open on tab N. Public hearing still open on tab N. Public hearing still open on tab N.
Very good. You're good,
Thank
man. I'm here again in support of the forensic audit. Doing for 3 years is a joke. We're not going to get nothing in 3 years, seriously. And I know that will cost some money, maybe the money the city don't have. Something important city have to do, but at the same time, in consideration is the cost. If the public can have how much that will cost us for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. That can make it much, much easier for us to, you know, right now we're still playing with year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years. 10 years is good. That's farther we can go. But how much are we willing now to pay that kind of money when we find the price? So the price is extremely important for us to know exactly how much that will cost us. We need it. I think that will be good for every one of you sitting there in every director department. So if there's a perception out there something is wrong, let's clear it. But it should be priceless. But unfortunately, government cannot operate that way. Unless you're Washington, they're just throwing money everywhere, you know. But you know, here I know we don't have. So far, I don't know if the manager, if the council ready, maybe to give us an idea how much that will cost, and that's something we definitely have to do it.
Thank you.
Can I go to the mayor, to the manager?
No, we're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
Because we haven't decided which department we want, if we want the whole city and everything. We have to tell him exactly.
Any department who have their hand up money or handed money should be part of it.
That's what we're going to be talking about, to know exactly which department. And then he's going to tell us how much it's going to cost.
If it cannot be 10 years, mayor and council, but 3 years is a joke. Let's really do something if you want to do something. But don't do it just for the, I'm doing it, and in fact, you're not doing anything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Kevin Burns, 2065 Alamanda Drive. I concur with what former Councilman Despinos said. 3 years is totally inadequate. 10 years would be the best. 10 years would cover several administrations, several city managers, several members of the council, including myself and prior people before me and after. But let's not point out people. The audit is for the process. And I have to say I was very, very disappointed when I saw the memo, Mr. Manager, that highlighted a particular individual that this particular audit was supposed to go toward. I thought it was inappropriate. And I've been in full support of a audit, financial forensic audit for many years now, not directed at any one individual, and that the auditors or the company that you finally do choose must go in there blind with no preconceived notions and just do their jobs of what's black and white and what needs to be put out there and do what they do. And I think that's the best way. Get the price on 10 years. Tell the community what those prices will be, department by department, because every department doesn't handle money. Purchasing, the water department, financing, permitting, the building department. Those are should be your priorities, and you have to decide which one you want to do first. You probably won't be able to do them all at one time. And for those who are not familiar with a forensic audit, it is not something that's going to be done in 2 months, 3 months. You're talking about almost a year's process to get it done thoroughly and completely. But I know people have said the cost is going to be very high. But if you do an audit for 10 years, and we have an average budget of $60 million a year, times 10 years, that's about $600 million that you want to make sure was spent and accounted for and procedures were carried out. So if you're going to spend 1/2 of a percent is a small fraction to pay to make sure that your procedures moving forward were done correctly. And it may surprise you that maybe you did some procedures in the previous years correctly. And if you do have a problem, how to correct it. But the uncertainty that exists must be quelched And I think it's only fair to go back as far as you can realistically and financially make sense. And again, I would shoot. If you want to do 10 years, you know you guys will do 10 years. If you want to do 5, you'll do 5. So you should set your goal at 10 years. And also the CRA, every program it's ever been involved in, which is a totally separate audit. Earlier tonight, you had a county commissioner here telling you the concerns that she had with our CRA. So let's make sure we cover it all and move forward. And again, do not let the perception be out there that you are targeting any one individual person or administration. It is a blanket cover 10 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And Mr. City Manager, let me ask you a question. There is a letter and we received from Boyd and Associates.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, you request that they give you an idea about how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, actually,
and, in the response, they're talking about in correlation to Lucy Tondo, including several associate City of North Miami employees, and how did they have the name of the former mayor Lucy Tondo, and you request that, and
this is something I did not request as part of the audit or the forensic audit. Apparently, what they did, they picked up newspaper articles and suspected of, and I believe this is where the previous mayor mentioned the name, but in no way, shape, or form that I recommended or put any elected official's name or anyone during that period. It's all, what they came up with, and it's independent of what they have in their proposal.
Okay, it's them proposed that, but we did not associate any names in there.
That did not
because in the answer they said, we expense reports of Lucy Tondo's and associates.
No.
And associate employees, vendors, related party review, and whatever the question, but it's related to one person.
No, it's not. If you look at the memo that went out, we suggested different departments, and based on the directive that I got at the 2 council meetings ago, 4 departments, we asked for 4 departments, and we got pricing for 4 departments over a 3-year period.
But we did not tell you which department
we didn't.
We're going to tell you which
exactly.
department and how many
so
years.
So it could be any 4 departments, and if you look at the memo that I have in the report, it could be any 4 departments that the council approves.
Okay, you want to say something? No? Public hearing still open on tab N. Public hearing is now closed. Councils and women case.
I would make a motion. I'm open on the time, but I'd make a motion that we do go ahead. We will have to do an RFP. I know we have 3 quotes in here. Those are just to give us an idea of what the cost is. It's looking at about $30,000 per year.
What your motion is? Motion
okay.
2.
Well, my motion is for 10 years. We can shorten it to 7, but I have a motion that we go for 10 years. I also recommend, or I also motion that we take our staff's recommendation and do the audit on the 4 departments: finance, purchasing, public works, and building and zoning.
Give me a second.
That's in the memo.
Your motion, okay, no, your motion is
10-year
for 10
audit,
years,
10
4
year.
departments.
And the 4 departments is recommended by staff.
And you want to have an RFQ done and see how much it's going to cost for
I
that.
believe we do have, for that kind of money, we are going to have an RFP.
Okay. A question, City Attorney. There is something called statute of limitation. That's when even if we go 4 years and we find fraud and things like that, we won't be able to go after anybody if it's over 5 years. Do we have that? I don't know.
Well, so the city doesn't prosecute, right? So,
okay.
So it would depend on what the particular, if there is a crime, it would depend on what the particular crime is, and then the state attorney's office it would be recommended to the city attorney's office, and then they
Is
would.
it
they
would be
make
up to them
It
to
would be up to
decide.
the state attorney's office, correct?
But
The city doesn't.
That's when we don't know if that's gonna be applied. You don't know.
No.
Okay.
Not necessarily finding criminal acts, we're just trying to find out what the status of our accounting system is, our procedures, and make sure that everything has been done properly to rest everybody's minds that we're in good shape and we've been doing everything right.
What
If we
are the
haven't, we'll
four
learn from it.
departments that you suggest? Public Works.
In the memo, it's finance, purchasing, public works, and building and zoning.
Wait, Public Works, Finance. What else?
Purchasing, that's procurement, and building and zoning.
Building and zoning. That's when your motion is for staff to put out there an RFQ to see exactly how much it's going to cost and bring it back to us.
And to go ahead and, I mean, I'd like to go ahead and authorize it once we get the best bid.
No, we're going to authorize it when we get the when we get everything. That's when you're going to go. I remember on the last council, that's what we asked you. Why don't you do an RFQ and see exactly how much it's going to cost? Okay, now the motion, it's 10 years, 4 departments, Public Works, Finance, Purchasing, Building and Zoning.
Okay.
You're going to open an RFQ and you're going to bring it back to us and tell us this is how much it's going to cost for 10 years.
Got it.
Then we can see if we can afford it, if we can cut it or whatever we can do about it.
No, that's not really my motion.
What is your motion?
Okay, my motion is to go ahead and direct staff to do the RFP. We know what it's going to cost. It's going to cost approximately $30,000. That's why I think we need to
What
determine
do council keys?
it's
30,000 for one.
per year.
30,000
That's
per
what
year.
Per year
Per
per
For 4
department.
departments?
Right. So
Per year
four
per
departments.
department.
No, wait. 30,000 per year per department.
Correct.
That means it's going to
Per
be about
department?
120.
Times 4.
Wait. You know, I'm not that quick. It's going to be 30,000 per year.
For the first three, I'm sorry, the first 3 years, for 3 years per department is about $30,000, about $30,000 for 3 years.
30 times
Oh.
10 times 4.
Yeah.
$1.2 million.
No.
But the
No.
question that's being asked is,
We're
as it's
looking at-
proposed right now, 4 departments, 10 years, 30,000, roughly 30,000 each.
$387,000 with the numbers that we have present right now at 27,000 per department is going to cost 387,000 for 10 years.
Where you got that?
No.
It's 120 for 3 years.
For 4 years.
For-
For 10 years.
For 3 years. 120 for 3 years, 4
We're
departments.
talking about 10 years.
10
We're
years.
not talking
10
about-
years is going to be 120 times 3.
Or it's going to be
Plus
every
27.
Every 3 years it's going to
No.
cost 30 times.
No.
$1.2 million.
Okay.
No.
Okay, Alim.
120,000 times.
The motion, Alim.
Not 10.
Alim,
Yes.
you're going to do the RFQ
Sure.
and you're going to bring it back to us for approval.
No, can we be clear on what it's really costing? I thought it was 30, about, on the Brody, looking at the second one. I thought the Brody one for 1 year was 35,000, and I thought that included 4 departments.
But that's
Wait.
they give us an idea when
Wait.
we open
The
an
ci-
RFQ with
The
all
city
the
attorney just did it on her
qualifications.
calculator. How much did it come
And
to?
I got 1.2, but I went to law school, not.
So I just want to reiterate, it's simple math. I'm not the brightest bulb, but
I'm thinking about.
With
But we need to understand those are not official numbers. When you open the RFQ, that's when you're gonna have the real numbers, right?
Yes.
That's what we said. We're gonna do an RFQ, and you're gonna bring it back for approval. It's the same thing
Mr.
as
Manager,
usual.
and that's important to note that these are estimates where people come in and giving us an estimate.
Yeah.
Knowing that we're going to come back with greater detail.
Exactly.
So these are estimates. We can't be held to it's going to be $30,000.
When we put our requirement, when we're gonna say
Exactly.
this is what we want, that's when exactly they're gonna tell you this is how much it's gonna cost.
Yes, sir.
That's why we ask for an RFQ. Then you're gonna bring it back. It's gonna cost 1.2, 1.4, or $90,000. Then we're gonna vote on it. We're gonna decide.
Mr. Mayor?
I don't know if you let's wait for Council Keys.
Then let's go, I mean, if we're not clear, then I guess we're going for.
No, it's not like we're not clear.
Well, I
Those
wanna know if-
numbers are thinking numbers. When we put the RFQ with all the requirements, we're going to see how many firms going to come on board. Because when you put the RFQ, they're going to put the reputation online. They're going to give you the real number.
So then an RFQ for 7 to 10 years for 4
You said
departments?
no.
10
Council,
years?
you said 10 years
10
for
years
departments.
Four departments, okay.
Yes, that's what you said. RFQ for that. You are going to say something, Council.
Thank you.
Scott, got it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I still would like to hear what the state can offer, and the state's not going to answer to an RFQ. Can we also include in our motion tonight, can we also include to ask the state of Florida to come assess what they would charge? Because if the state of Florida can do it for a whole lot less, and we don't know, it might be a whole lot more, but in other words, they can't, because they're a governmental entity, the state can't respond to an RFP.
Okay.
But I'd like to somehow
Get
officially
an official answer from them.
Mr. Manager,
At the
through the
same
manager, if we are going to do that, we will be required for you guys to vote tonight to ask the state to do an operational audit. If you vote by majority, we can send that to the state. They'll send that to the joint legislative committee that they have.
We understand that.
And then they come in.
We understand
I would
that.
amend my motion to also request the state to do an independent audit.
Yeah, we're going to ask them, you're going to officially ask them that.
Yeah, I'll
Okay,
send an
and get
official
an answer.
to get an answer.
Okay.
But just be mindful, it's not a forensic audit.
It's an
It's an
We-
operational audit.
We understand that.
Okay.
We know.
Okay, let me repeat the motions. Okay, this motion was made by Councilwoman Keys. The first request was a request for an RFQ. The second request is for the audit to be for a 10-year period. The third request of 4 departments: finance, purchasing, public works, and building and
Let me
zoning.
rephrase it for you. A motion for 10 years, 4 departments, an RFQ, and also send a formal or an official request to the state and get an answer.
So the motion, as stated by Mayor Bieneme, was made by
No,
Councilwoman
that's
Keys.
a motion.
I need a second.
Second.
And seconded by Councilman Galvin.
You have questions, or
If you allow me.
if you said you have questions?
Okay. No, I see you were asking everybody, then I was waiting for you to ask. Thank you, sir. Okay. I can care less about if we having an audit or not, because I shouldn't have anything to worry. But it's appeared to be, it's like it's a show. Because from what I'm hearing from staff, I sit down with the city manager and I sit down with the, what's your title now? CRA budget director. From what I understand, once we choose a company to do the audit, it will be the same process that will be conduct with the auditing company that we hiring now, because when they're asking for the sample, the same staff will appear to be not trust or the process, the system. Those are the same staff that will be providing the sample. So it's the city will be spending millions of dollars to do a forensic or operational audit, Madam City Attorney. Not forensic. We're no longer doing a forensic.
No.
So now we're doing operational.
There's 2 different
What we're doing right
sources.
now. Okay. So what we're doing right now, technically.
Well, I believe the motion was for a private company to do a forensic audit. The state issue is separate.
I'm not with the state yet.
Right.
So we're still conducting a forensic audit through a private company.
Correct.
But from what I understand, when I sit down with the city manager and the budget director, when that company, and I want it to be clear, I don't care if we have a forensic or whatever the audit. I don't mind, but I want it to be fair and clear. I don't want to put up a show, because at the end of the day, if staff or the city manager do not explain to me clearly what will be the difference, because if it's the same staff that will be that's provided the sampling or the sample to the audit company that we just hired, that we just completed, what, 2 o'clock in the morning 2 days ago, that I get the email this week, actually, yesterday?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Wednesday. So we're going to hire another company for a couple of $1 million, and the same staff probably already said, don't worry about it, I'm just going to just give them the same sample that I use. And then for another, it's not clear to me. If there's another process, I heard someone says that, okay, the company will come in with not knowing anyone, but they will just go in the computer, take the software that we use or whatever the numbers. I think, fine. But if it's the way that you explain it to me, it's a waste of money. One, the letter that former Mayor Kevin Burns were referring to, that the acting mayor actually referring to, that I read it, I think it's the same thing, and I know, because you told me that you did not send it, and I believe you. But I think it's the same thing that happened with the CRA, the drama that happened last week with the CRA, that the intention was not to escort Mr. Prudent with a police officer outside the City Hall, but it did happen. Like Madame Metellus mentioned earlier, that there was $100,000 that quote-unquote people think that was missing, that Mr. Prudent actually took it. That's why he got fired. It never said up here, but while we were getting the audit report, it did, for us, because we sit down with you, with the budget manager, we understand it. But when someone at home listening to $100,000 that was not balanced from the CRA to the city, automatically $100,000 missing. And a week later, Mr. Prudent, which is the CRA coordinator, got fired. So now, the drama, the incident just happened to the former mayor, Lucy Tondreau. We start talking about forensic. I know it has nothing to do with her.
Correct.
I understand that, because I'm sitting up here and I talk to you about it. Right. But what's for someone that's actually on the internet or at home watching or reading the hair or anything, or even have a copy of that letter. It happened like a month ago? Then we're talking about having a forensic, and now we have a letter, a respond. This is not a company that actually writes you a letter says that I am interested. It's a response to your request. That's how it appeared. So all the charade, I know you don't mean it, but it's so black and white. I don't even have an excuse. I don't even know how to explain it. And again, we here about to vote for an audit that's not even make sense. Because the same sample that we just used, that we pay a company $100,000, that's the same sample we're going to use, which you cannot tell me that's not true. And it's the same employees that we have that will provide them. Not the company will come and find their own sample. There, you guys, you work for Public Works for how many years? 30 years?
18 years.
18 years. So you're the city manager now. I'm not accusing you of anything. You're the city manager now. We don't even have a director for Public Works. So you will be the one actually providing the sample that they need. It's I'm not comfortable, guys. I'm not comfortable. I'm done.
Thank you. And roll call.
Councilwoman I'm sorry,
No.
the motion was... I'm sorry, the motion was made by Councilwoman Keys. It was seconded by Councilman Galvin, as stated by Mayor Bien-Aimé on the record. Roll call. Councilwoman Keys?
Yes.
Councilman Galvin?
Yes.
Mayor Bien-Aimé?
Yes.
Councilwoman Steril?
No.
Item passes 3-1.
Mayor, if I may, just for clarification on the issue of the state audit, So there is a requirement that the council,
I asked you to get an official answers from them. Do you have it?
an official answer with respect to...
From the state?
I'll go ahead and make the motion, and separately, even though it was part of the last motion,
Yeah, I just
so
wanted
for
to
clarification, I make the motion that we also ask the state to give us their
Pursuant to section
That's what
11.45.
pursuant to election
Second.
That's what-
11.45.
That
Thank
was part
you.
of the first motion.
That's all.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
You are
You
sleeping?
guys want me to reread the motion?
No, 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 it sounds like we're...
No.
So we're good? So we don't need a second vote?
It was part of the first motion.
Wasn't part of Councilwoman Keys' motion.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was.
amended.
I amended it. I amended my motion.
Okay, all right,
I amended it.
okay.
That's the
Thank-
city clerk. Get it. Now, council reports.
No?
Councilwoman Keys,
Don't
for
we do
your
citizens
report.
forum
Citizens
first?
forum.
Oh,
Citizens.
citizens forum first.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I know that a lot of people in Citizens Forum tonight are here to talk about an ongoing legal matter and a personnel situation. I won't even name it, but everybody who's remaining here to talk about it will.
Talking about the tennis court?
I wasn't going to name it, but yeah, the situation at San Souci Tennis Court, because it's a legal matter and because it's a personnel matter, which the city council is not supposed to be addressing, I'd ask for clarification from the city attorney and/or city manager before we open up public hearing, just so everybody knows the playing field.
When you said clarification about,
Are we allowed to talk about this tonight? Can we give direction to the city manager what to do with staff? What does the Ethics Commission ruling have to do with all of this? I think it's only fair. We're going to be here another,
we won't
I'm
be
going to
able
guess,
to speak about it, but in citizen forum, they're gonna, we cannot stop them
No,
from
citizens can.
speaking about it.
Regime.
I know how Citizens Forum works.
Okay.
We're going to be here for 2 hours tonight. I would hate for everybody to sit around for
Okay.
another 2 hours tonight thinking we're voting on this tonight. And if we are, I'd like to know that heading into this. But I'm asking for clarification from the attorney manager. What are the parameters for discussion under public forum tonight under, on this tennis courts?
Regime.
Why don't we just put a motion and ask the city manager to give us an update, and people can know exactly what it is, and if they wish to speak, they will speak. If not, we will. Are you gonna decide them tonight, Mr. City Manager?
Put direction from the attorney, since it might be an ongoing litigation, I'm not.
There's an ongoing litigation.
Potential litigation,
You
sorry.
say potential. There's no litigation.
There's no
You
litigation
say
at present.
potential. There is no
Potential.
by someone and speaking to the city attorney about a case is not a litigation, from what I understand.
As always, I don't know what's going on. What you guys
We're
talking
gonna
about?
explain you. We're gonna come. We're gonna come. And how you gonna bring that item on the table, the tennis court of
The
to make
Regine, you
sure
wanna address
and we decide.
I mean, certainly, citizens have a right to speak on any item
Yeah.
that they wish to.
But at least if they have an explanation from staff about the case, maybe they will be happy. They don't have to speak about
What you
it.
guys afraid of? Let them speak.
I don't know.
I'm ready to be here. I can look around. I know how many people here that are going to speak.
Yeah, I know how many emails.
It's my understanding of the city charter that we're not allowed to direct the city manager to do anything in a personnel matter.
Okay.
And so
Okay,
if
okay.
that's what we're doing tonight,
What you
I
guys
need
talking
everybody
about?
to agree that's what we're doing later tonight.
Oh, okay.
I
We
want to
can't-
agree. I don't know what you guys talking about.
Well, that you've received at least 30 emails in the last 24 hours on the matter. We've all been copied on the same email. All I can ask is you might check those a little bit more often. But the reality of
I
it is,
receive a lot of emails, so
so do I. Nobody tops
Which
me when it
one?
comes to getting and
Okay, so
responding.
which one are we
the
talking
ones,
about?
the multiple ones we've received in 24 hours on the San Souci Tennis
didn't.
Center.
Oh,
You did it?
no, I didn't receive the email.
Okay. Okay.
In any case, it would be very helpful. You can see how chaotic this item is going to be because we haven't even gotten to it yet, and we can't even agree to what we're going to do for the next 3 hours. So, staff, I'm going to ask for you to tell me right now, can I vote to give him direction on a personnel matter later tonight?
No.
Is this matter currently under litigation?
It is not actively under litigation. The employee does have an attorney, and the attorney has met with myself and the city manager about this particular issue.
And the due deference, Mr. Councilman, we need to set some ground rules. There's an Ethics Commission ruling that they appeared to have reinforced over the weekend with an email.
Correct.
What does that Ethics Commission ruling tell us?
Mr. Francolin, we haven't opened public hearing on the subject yet.
He hasn't said anything.
Actually, can we talk about the Ethics Commission? Can we talk about the Ethics Commission, please? I need to know the parameters.
Go ahead. Sure. So the issue surrounds whether an employee can be a city employee and also have a city contract. According to both the Miami-Dade County Code of Ordinances as well as the North Miami Code of Ordinances, a city employee cannot be also a contractor. The question was posed to the Commission on Ethics, and Mr. Joe Santorino issued an opinion to advise the city that an employee cannot, pursuant to the county as well as the city code, be both an employee and a contractor for the city.
So is that why this item is an issue tonight? Because I don't recall us ever giving direction that there be a bid put out for this position or anything like that. Why is this tennis center director an open bid? Oh, and how does that affect what we're doing here tonight too? Because if it's an open bid, there's a cone of silence.
So the other issue is there is a cone of silence because there is a bid on this particular issue as well.
What does that mean
So that
legally? Are
means
we allowed to
that-
talk
that
about
means
it?
that- No, you are not allowed to
I'm
discuss.
not saying anything
The
more.
council. Okay.
The council.
Okay. Citizen forum, it's now open.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, my name is Frank Rowland, and if I go over by a minute, perhaps you'll indulge me. But I'm here to talk on behalf of Ross Dubbins, who holds a contract, who has held a contract for 25 years as the city's tennis director. And I'm not here to talk about a personnel matter, and I'm not here to talk about an RFP. In fact, I know that's legal, and that would violate the cone of silence, and you won't hear those letters from my lips again tonight. Nor will you hear me talk about personnel matters. I have, for the record, although it's not something that should be a part of the record, offered to tender my client's resignation as a city employee to the city manager, okay? But I'm only here to talk about one thing, about his contract. That's all I'm going to talk about.
That citizen forum, it's open, Mr. Wallen. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor.
And if you want to...
Maybe someone else could come up and yield their time to me. I would rather not do that. Just let me finish. It won't take long. I only have 3 little pages. And I won't even discuss the law, which as a lawyer could take a long time.
There's nothing that we can do. We cannot vote. We under the code of silence.
Mr. Mayor, the question which Councilman Galvin asked was whether we could talk about personnel or an RFP.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not here to talk about that.
Okay, go ahead.
If Councilman Galvin asked the city attorney, can we talk about his contract, that would be a different question, and I invite him to ask the city attorney that question. But
Go ahead.
let me proceed. Thank you. 25 years ago, Mr. Dobbins, who was replacing the then tennis pro of 17 years before that, competed for and unanimously won a contract to run the tennis court. It's a contract. And he held the contract for 25 years. For 25 years, this gentleman, he's now 54 years old. He started when he was in his 20s. And he is the reason why this is the best tennis center in the county. It's an award. It's an award that the tennis center, don't clap for me, clap for Mr. Dobbins. He won it, okay? And again and again. So why are we here? We're here because someone else wants that contract. A disgruntled former employee who has issues, which I'd be happy to discuss with anybody, He wants Mr. Dubbins to lose the contract so he and his friends can get the contract. But, all right, so how does Mr. Dubbins losing a contract affect the residents of North Miami? It's not good for the tennis center. The people who play there aren't going to be happy. The city loses one of the most talented tennis pros anywhere. The court fees, the lesson fees, everything goes up. Right now we have the best prices in North Dade and on Miami Beach. Not anymore. The public loses. There's a misconception. The Commission on Ethics is not requiring the city to terminate his contract. They've only suggested that he should not have a contract and be an employee. They have not directed the city to terminate the contract. The Ethics Commission opinion, the clarification, makes that clear. Their opinions are prospective going forward. They're not retrospective. They don't give opinions about substantive rights. I'm not going to talk about the law. I'm a lawyer. I can't do that in 2 minutes. I will tell you one thing. He's the best tennis coach our city can ever have, and we're lucky. We're lucky to have had him.
Thank you, Mr. Wallen. And you know, we have a lot of people that want to speak about it. You always can come back. You always can come back and.
Okay, I apologize. It's 25 years to him. It's only 2 minutes for us. Thanks.
Thank you. Citizen Forum is now open.
Hello, good evening. My name is Horacio Siegel, Magnolia Drive, 2415 Magnolia Drive. Beautiful street where my family and I live, and the only reason why we live there is because of Mr. Ross Dobbins. I was fortunate enough to be able to choose anywhere in this beautiful city of ours to live, Kendall, Hialeah, Miami Springs, but I chose this city only because of the tennis center. And I'll tell you why. The tennis center has the best pro, but not really, it's not about teaching, it's about being a human being. Many of the tennis places, as you know, tennis is an individual sport. It's not a very friendly sport. It's not a, like you see the World Cup now that we're enjoying, especially now that Brazil lost, we're enjoying it. I'm from Argentina. It's a little bit of levity, a little bit of levity.
You're going to have yours tomorrow.
Until tomorrow when we lose, but at least we have 24 hours to enjoy. Yes, sir. A little levity. What Mr. Ross Dobbins does for us is makes us feel part of a community. Everybody's treated equally, no matter where you're from, what accent you have, what is your color of skin, what is your religious. And I am not religious, but I always say, thank God there's an angel, and that's Ross Dobbins for us, because that place is a sanctuary for us. This city feels divided. You know that better than I do. I mean, if we want to collect money, we should just start charging all those people that jaywalk and that do not know how to use a traffic light in Biscayne Boulevard, and we will collect millions. But do not touch the tennis center. I understand their personal issues, I understand their legal issues, I'm completely ignorant about it. The most important thing is that this is a place where everybody that comes feels welcome. I go every morning to play, and I get, Ross says to me, what a wonderful morning to be up and see you bright and early here.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Joe Schwartz, and I got married in 1969. And I was living in South Beach with my wife, and we decided to move to 1800 San Souci Boulevard in 1969. And the reason why we moved to 1800 San Souci Boulevard is because of the North Miami Tennis Center and Ross Dobbins. And all my children and all my friends and everyone knows who I am. I'm certainly there a lot, and I can tell you that the children have a safe environment, that the adults are amazingly good. Parents drop their children off and feel safe. We worry about exercise, we worry about obesity, we worry about all the things, drugs and everything, and we have a tennis center that provides the most wonderful atmosphere, environment, healthy for the children, and parents can feel safe and the community. We have a pillar of our society here, and his name is Ross Dubbins.
Thank you. And can we set up a time, maybe allow like 15 minutes if everybody wanna speak about that issue? Said 15 minutes for that.
Okay.
No, 15 minutes total.
For the item.
For the item.
For the item. For the item.
Yeah, you have to do 2 minutes a person.
Yeah, 2 minutes a person. 2 minutes a person. But on the subject, we're going to allow 15 minutes.
With all due respect, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry for coming back. It's just, I love the microphone so much. But anyways, you talked about major issues here, and you had 5, 6 speakers. How many people are here because of Ross Dobbins and the tennis center?
Exactly. That's better. Okay.
You talked about millions of dollars. You talked about landings with polluted earth. You talked about huge political problems. And look at how many people are here, sir. So we need to be heard.
I see that.
Thank you so much.
But you already sent me about 40 emails. That means we understand the subject.
We need to make sure
we won't be able to speak about it tonight. But
Yes.
that doesn't mean we don't want to hear about it. That doesn't mean we have any issue about it. We just want to...
I think it's very important. I understand the limits. I also understand that Marie Erland Stereo did not know what we were talking about, and she got up and left when we started talking. I think we have to be heard, sir, but I respect
you, want to speak?
And I thank you.
Go ahead. 2 minutes. Go ahead.
I hate public speaking, so I'll be about 15 seconds. But I just had to get up and say that when I moved here from New York, I
Name and
hated...
address, name and address.
Karen Geller, I live in Surfside, 9440 Byron Avenue. I couldn't stand living here, and I started playing tennis at Sans Souci about 10 years ago, and it literally changed my life. I was like, I can live here, I'm happy, and it's not, I mean, look, the courts are fine, the prices are great, the location is okay. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's 100% Ross and the people he has there. And it's an incredible place. I don't know if any of you play tennis, but it's not even about the tennis. I go there and I feel like it's a second family, 100% comfortable there. My 3 kids have all grown up playing there. It's really a special place. I don't even have the words to describe it, but it's all Ross. And if he leaves, it's going to be a disaster for many people in this room and in this country.
Good evening. My name is Steve Feig. Pardon my voice. I want to thank the mayor, city council, and city manager for the opportunity to speak before you tonight. As I've gone through life, I've seen the face of intolerance and injustice, whether it be purposeful or not, the results are the same. We are all on this earth for a moment. With that said, some of us create and some of us tear down. We all have a choice, and we are here tonight to make that choice. I've thought long and hard as to why the situation reached this point, where an incredibly decent man like Ross Dubins has been vilified by the press and by certain disgruntled employees. He now stands to possibly lose everything he has worked for over the past 25 years. Is it the times that we live in, or is it the fact that Ross, who is perhaps the most trusting soul I have ever met, will now see the fruits of all of his labor be forgotten by many of the people he has served? But it will not be forgotten by me. I will not forget the many hours that he spent with my son Clayton. And I will not forget the 14-hour days he and Veronica spent making Clayton Feig's Memorial Tournament the event that it is today. And I will not forget the many hours that he spent at Court Pepper Park teaching children who would have never had the opportunity for a private tennis instruction because they had economic circumstances which would not allow it. To me, there were in some cases lives that were saved because if they were not playing tennis, they could have very well been in harm's way. I ask everyone in this room to truly think of the consequences of the possible decision that will be made or possibly made tonight. Will a corporation give free lessons to those in need? Will a private enterprise continue with my son's free tournament? And finally, will a young pro spend countless hours to help a child so desperately needing it? And that child, by the way, was my son Clayton. Thank you.
Is the mayor, okay. I timed my speech just a little under 3 minutes, which I was promised, so. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Councilman. My name is Billy Federhofer. I live off of 135th Street, 1080 Northeast, and I was born and raised in the city of North Miami. I am very thankful for what I have in my life, and right outside my parents, the person I have to thank the most is Ross Dubins. Ever since I was 4 years old, I played at Sans Souci Tennis Center, which has been my second home. Ross has coached and mentored me since I was a little boy and allowed me to accomplish things I could never repay him for. My family never had much money, and to be quite honest, we really struggled. Sans Souci was a center that was affordable and allowed me to play tennis and chase my dreams of one day playing college tennis. There came a point when I was a few years away from going to college, and my family financially really couldn't afford to take any more lessons for me, while all the other kids my age were trying to get into college, were training with their expensive coaches or in academies. Ross, unlike other tennis directors, didn't say, "Sorry, Billy, you're out of luck." Instead, he gave up his time and didn't charge me for my last few years so that I could continue to develop and train to be able to get noticed by colleges. I ended up being fortunate enough to go to the University of Florida on a scholarship and was the first person in my family to graduate from college. Ross allowed my dream to come true. Anyone who's ever known Ross or met Ross would have to admit that he is always giving and trying to help others. He's always smiling, always positive, always patient, and you can always count on him. Ross has created a foundation at Sans Souci where adults and children can play this great sport at affordable prices. It is the good reputation of Ross and the many programs that the center offers that brings people of different cities and cultures to choose to play at Sans Souci, a place of fun, friendship, and opportunity. People may talk about whether LeBron James is staying in Miami or not, but in actuality, we should be talking about Ross Dubin staying at Sans Souci for North Miami and everyone. This is a man who has given the chance to many boys and girls to play tennis and pursue their dreams to get into college. This is the man who runs the only free tennis tournament in the state of Florida every year in honor of a great young tennis player, Clayton Feig, who suffered from cancer. This is a man who always has time to help others beyond just forehands and backhands. For instance, writing a letter of recommendation for a junior player to get into college, volunteering on career days at elementary schools to inspire young kids about tennis, and even setting up a tennis fundraiser to raise $5,000 for a young girl named Jasmine who could no longer walk. The truth is, Ross does more than the average director and has had a great impact on many people who come to play. Ross Dubins is the heart and soul of Sans Souci Tennis Center, and by replacing Ross, it would not be getting rid of one man, but rather a large community and tradition as well. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. I have some documents I'd like to pass up to the Council first, please.
About the same subject?
Yes. The first document you're going to see is an award that the New Times gave to the Sans Souci tennis courts. Please note that that was not a solicited advertisement. That's something that was given an honorary award to the Dubins family. The second set of documents, the second set of documents relate to the young man you just met. Do you have any idea what a star he is? Now, we talk about just how good the Dubins family is for the whole community. There are other young people here tonight I'm going to ask to stand up. I want you to meet them. I want you to see what you're getting. Sammy? Ava? This is the future of our community. Now, I was born here. I went to William Jennings Bryan Then I went to North Miami Junior, North Miami Senior, University of Florida, Northwestern Medical School, Detroit, receiving head of orthopedic surgery. I came back here. I was the youngest doctor on staff at 5 hospitals. I came back to this community because I love this community. Look what's here. How can you fix something that's broken? It's not broken. Leave it alone. Thank you.
And
hello, my name is Sam Prudhomme, and I live on 125th Northeast 15th Ave. I've been going to Santos since I was 9, and I'm 17. And Ross has opened so many opportunities for me. I was a kid that was unfortunate. I wasn't doing the right things, and he invited me to Santos with open arms. And not only has he helped me, but others that's always been in certain situations as I have been. And because of him, I can call Santos home and also my family. So thank you.
Citizen Forum.
Esther Blinn, 1990 Northeast 118th Road. I hope that this will not be what clearly is a treasure and an asset to our city lost, as have been others. I invite you to think about the pony rides, Mrs. Chance, and our former museum director. I think we need to think about how we feel and how we treat people who've devoted their lives and their efforts on behalf of our city that are gone.
The tennis court is in what district?
How you guys doing? Lance Tinkler, 79.
That's you.
I'll wait for you.
Oh.
7939 East Drive. You've heard from everyone here tonight, and I really want you guys, when you leave here, to think about how serious of an issue this is. It's an issue serious enough to check your emails and understand what's really going on, man. Ross has been, I can speak firsthand for myself, a father figure, a mentor, a coach. What he does for this community goes without saying. You see the people here that are in this room, people that care about him, that care about our community. I ask you to think about that when you leave here, because you're not only getting rid of a man, if you choose to do so, you're getting rid of an entire community. Thank you.
And go ahead.
Hi, my name is Joanne. I grew up on Hickory Road in Keystone. I'm a graduate of William Jennings Bryan, and I am committed to my sanctuary at San Souci Tennis Courts. I call it the same ratio. Ross Dubins is an unusual person. He gave me the gift of tennis, and my children the gift of tennis. And like Karen said, this isn't really about tennis. This is about a family. And I read the paperwork. I'm no attorney. It seems that something happened in Plantation. A similar issue came to be. And there was legislation in Tallahassee that proved that this can be. I think that this would be a travesty. And again, tennis can be considered or viewed as a privileged sport. Obviously, by what you've heard tonight, that's not the case. Ross gives the gift for nothing oftentimes. So please take this super serious, because this is really a big deal to all of us. You have a heartbeat of North Miami in that tennis center. It beats every day, from early in the morning until those gates close. Please don't take it away.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Keys, before we continue, do you have a solution?
I don't know if I'm allowed to speak.
No, not speak. You can request. You can make a
I
motion.
can I speak on the contract?
No, you cannot speak on the contract. If you want to bring a motion, something like that.
Can I
and
A citizen
on the
forum
dash, you
development?
can solve the case.
You still have citizens forum.
Okay.
Um,
I was going to make it short.
Okay.
Good evening, Kevin Burns,
like-
2065 Alamanda Drive. Some of you up there may remember me as the mayor.
Really?
Yeah. One of the crown jewels of our community is the Senate Tennis Center and Ross and his family. But I don't want to make it about an individual. I want to make it about the process. I remember prior to, I guess it was 15 years ago, this matter came up. A very similar reaction of people not being informed about the tennis center and how great of a tennis center it was. When I became mayor, along with my colleagues, Maurice Sturrill and Mr. Galvin, we put lots of money into that center to improve it, to do the tennis courts over and so forth. We saw something that was working, so we didn't need to screw it up like city government usually does. The tennis center works. What the opinion of the Ethics Commission may have said, which I'm not really going to talk about, is there's possibly a conflict. So 25 years of elected officials have been wrong. 12 city managers have probably been wrong. 6 city attorneys have been wrong. Yet all of a sudden, we have to change this. The issue tonight should be about just moving forward and respecting the contract that is in place, a contract that the city agreed to. The other issue is that since when does the city go out on its own without direction from the city council to issue an RFP on such an important issue as this? I always thought that the city management took direction from the mayor and city council. And that's where RFPs came from, because you all gave the direction. So since you all gave, apparently, the direction to the city to go out and do an RFP, I never saw you all vote for that. How does it just magically appear out there? That's your responsibility. That's not the administration's. They take directions from you. So, Mr. Galvin, yes, you can speak about how did something like that get out there to begin with without your direction. The second thing is, it's very easy to direct without getting into any conflict right now, to direct the city manager to honor the agreement that appears to be in place. And then get a second opinion about what the Ethics Commission absolutely says. I was always under the impression, and I'm going to wrap up, is that the city council could waive any rules or ordinances, if you chose to, by a vote of the council, by doing something away. I may not be sure of that, but I believe we were able to waive certain things. There's lots of employees in this city who have outside employment that work off-duty jobs as officers, as painters and plumbers. We have people in the public works that do plumbing business, that do plumbing for the city in the daytime, but they're plumbers in the, on their off time. The reason, and I'm gonna close on this, the reason you have a tennis pro that sometimes is also a city employee is because most cities could not afford to pay the caliber of tennis pros like Ross. You could not afford to pay them. So what they do is made them a city employee to run the operations, and then you get the professional pro to enhance your program and to the tennis programs and to the private lessons. That's how it worked. It was beneficial to both parties. And so because somebody happens to be successful both for themselves and the city, we also want to do it. And as the previous speaker just said, we don't have much left in this city that has any history.
whether it's Mocha, Enchanted Forest, the tennis center, long-term employees get kicked to the side. But that's another subject. But in closing, you do have the right to ask the manager how this RFP came up, and you have the right to tell him to just
Thank you.
continue the contract as is, at least for the time being, because you all have way too many other problems on your hands without stirring up this one right now. Thank you.
And before. And Councilwoman Keys, you wanna bring up anything?
Okay, yes.
It's your district, and you can request that the city manager.
This is my district. Welcome to District 2. Grew up at the tennis courts myself, not with Mr. Dubins. Is he here this evening? Yes. Could we? Thank you. Thank you. I'm an old timer. I know Coach Hurley, so I'm from way back.
Excuse me, what a surprise. The city employee gets up and we all applaud. How wonderful is that?
That's good. Sounds like you've done a wonderful thing for our community. I know the tennis community. I know what it means to my neighbors. I know it's a family thing, and it's something that I do not want to break. And all I can do, and what's legal, we have ethics opinions that say one thing. We have contracts. I've had discussions with ethics, I've had discussions with the manager, and I've had discussions with our city attorney. And this is all in the last few days because it's just been brought to my attention. I've gotten about 30 letters and about 15 phone calls. What I would like to do is let staff work it out. I would like to give staff direction to let's make this happen, whatever it takes to make this legal.
We can make it, if we have a contract, we can make any amendment to make it legal.
Well, I don't know that we can necessarily, override a county ordinance. We can modify our ordinance. But I would like to have a little time, not make the decision this evening, but to direct staff to do whatever is possible, whatever is legal. I've had some conversations. We can do it this way, we can do it that way. This is not the forum to massage it and work it out, but I would like to see it worked out. I'd like to see Mr. Dubin stay here for the residents and the people.
Just pull out the RFP. And
we
then
can't
direct
discuss
staff to
that. We
do
can't
the other
discuss
stuff.
Can we discuss that? I don't know if we can put it
No,
on
we
hold.
can request. We did that before.
Yes.
But, if we can put that on hold, that's great. It was on hold. It's back. If we can legally do that, I would give direction to stop it right now, because I would like to see if we cannot work out our contract, work out the agreement so that we're not doing something illegal for one person, but I strongly would like to see status quo on our tennis courts.
Yes.